Hello everyone, welcome to the session of testing of hypothesis parametric versus non-parametric part 2.1. The objective of this lecture class is to introduce various tests of hypothesis to compare the average of various characteristics of a single or related group and independent groups. In carrying out a test of statistical significance, certain steps have to be followed in sequence. That is, first of all, we define the population, then formulate the null and alternative hypothesis, then take a sample randomly from the population, check whether the variable is following normal distribution or not, and calculate the appropriate test statistic and find out the critical ratio from statistical table and at the chosen level of significance, or calculate the p-value for taking the decisions. Nowadays, the softwares are widely used for analysis, so the p-value directly will get from the software. And using this p-value or critical ratio, you can decide whether to accept or reject the null hypothesis. How we can decide whether to accept or reject H naught using the p-value or critical ratio? So the first step is based on the critical ratio, and in this table we can see the set values of different level of significance. That is, the set value will get from the set tables corresponding for each level of alpha. So in the previous classes you already learned about the level of significance, isn't it? What is level of significance alpha, which may reject the null hypothesis when it is true, is called level of significance. When the level of significance is 0.05, it means that in the long run rejection true null hypothesis 5 times out of every 100 times. This chance of rejection is known as the level of significance. That is, the alpha equal to 0.05 means there is a 5% chance for rejecting the true null hypothesis. Okay, and the different level of significance are 5%, 1%, 0.1%. These are the different level of significance. And if alpha equal to 5% means there is a 5% chance for rejecting the true null hypothesis, or 95% confidence we can accept the true null hypothesis. And here the set value or critical ratio will find from the set tables. So in this figure, in this table, you can see different level of significance and corresponding confidence coefficient and set value. So set value will get from the set tables. And the conclusion, that is how we can decide the rejection or non-rejection of H naught based on the critical ratio. That is, any test statistic greater than the critical ratio, we reject the null hypothesis. That is, any test statistics greater than the critical ratio, we reject H naught. Next approach for making the decision based on the p-value approach. That is, we reject the true null hypothesis at alpha level of significance. That is, if any p-value less than alpha, we reject the null hypothesis. And if the p-value in between 0.01 to 0.05, then we can say that the rejection of the null hypothesis is significant. And if it lies between 0.001 to 0.01, we can say that it is a highly significant. And in p-value which is less than 0.001, showing a very highly significant. Next, come to the point of classification of hypothesis testing procedure. There are two types of hypothesis testing procedures, that is parametric test and non-parametric test. So under the parametric test, Z-test, t-test, ANOVA and repeated measure ANOVA are widely used for statistical analysis. So these are the some example for parametric test. And Mann-Whitney U-test, Wilcoxon-Sandring test, Kruskal-Wallis test, Friedman test, Chi-square test. These are the some example for non-parametric tests. Through this section, each test I will explain it more clearly. Okay. Many of the researchers may ask this type of question, that is when we apply parametric and non-parametric test. In parametric test, the test status is based on the distribution of variable. That is, the variable should be follow a normal distribution. But in the case of non-parametric test, it is not mandatory. It's not following a normal distribution. In parametric test, we are comparing the central measurement as mean. But in the case of non-parametric test, the central measurement is median. And in parametric test, there is specific some assumptions are there, and non-parametric test, they are assumption-free tests. Parametric test is a powerful if it exists, and it is non-parametric test. It's not a powerful like parametric test. One of the main assumptions in non-parametric tests are the variable should follow a normal distribution. So how we can assess the normality of a variable? Here you can see three different methods. That is, using the descriptive statistics, we can assess the normality. How we can assess the normality? If the mean, median, mode of the variable data are approximately equal, then that situation we can say that the given data follow a normal distribution. And another method by the graphical method, that is we are using the histogram for checking the normality. Whether the histogram is look like a bell shape, we can say that the given data follow a normal distribution. Otherwise it's skewed. And the testing of hypothesis related to the normality is Kolmogorov-Smirnov or Shapiro-Wilks test. So these tests are used for checking the distribution of the data. Okay, so using these three methods we can assess the normality of the data. And one more method is there, that is based on the mean and standard deviation. Any mean of half of the mean of any data is greater than the standard deviation. That is, half of the mean of variable greater than the standard deviation. In that situation also the data follow a normal distribution. Now let's start with the parametric test. What is parametric test? The parametric tests are those that make assumptions about the parameter of the population distribution from which the sample is drawn. One of the main assumptions for the parametric tests are the data should follow a normal distribution. Let's start with the test for population mean. There are two cases is there. That is, case 1, when the sample size is large, we will apply Z-test. And case 2, when the sample size is small, that is the sample size is less than 30, we will apply t-test. So this is a one sample test. It is used to test whether the population parameter is different from a specified value. So what is that? It is used for to test whether the population parameter is different from a specified value. So then I will explain it clearly with the example. Okay. Test for population mean, that is, let x1, x2, etc. xn be a random sample of size n that drawn from a population of the random variable x follows a normal distribution with unknown mean mu and variance sigma squared. The null hypothesis is that the H naught such that mu equal to mu naught, and the alternative hypothesis is that H1 such that mu greater than mu naught, or H2 such that mu less than mu naught, or H3 such that mu not equal to mu naught. At pre-assigned level of significance alpha, here mu naught, the hypothesized value, is specified. Case 1 for large samples, that is z-test. Here we are taking the decision based on the p-value approach. So first of all we find the test statistic. That is, here the test statistic is z. Z naught equal to x bar minus mu naught divided by sigma by root n. This is the Z test statistic. So what is x bar? X bar is the mean of the sample, mu naught is the specified mean value, sigma is the standard deviation, n is the sample size. And obtain the p-value. And conclusion, the rejection of H naught at alpha level. That is, if p-value less than alpha, we reject H naught. Otherwise, we do not reject H naught. For example, the daily yield at a chemical plant recorded for 15 days possesses a sample mean of 884 tons. The population standard deviation is known to be 42 tons. Do the data provide enough evidence to indicate that the average daily yield of the chemical plant is 900 tons per day? Perform a test at 1% level to see if the data support the claim. Using the p-value approach, we can make the decision. So let's start with the answer. Here, let mu be the mean daily yield of the chemical plant. And what is the null and alternative hypothesis here? Here the null hypothesis is that H naught that mu equal to 900. And against the alternative hypothesis H1 such that mu naught equal to 900 at 1% level of significance. Here sample mean are given here, that is x bar equal to 884 and population standard deviation sigma equal to 42 and specified value mu naught equal to 900 and sample size is n equal to 50. So substitute these values in the set test statistics, that is z naught equal to x bar minus mu naught divided by sigma by root n, that is equal to 884 minus 900 divided by 42 divided by square root of 50. We get minus 2.69. So the critical ratio at 1% level will get 2.58. So that is here the p-value will get 0.0072. So what is the conclusion? P-value is less than 0.01 or less than 0.05. So we can say that we reject the null hypothesis at 1% level of significance in favor of H1. And based on the critical ratio, we can see that we are taking the positive value of the test statistics. Here the test statistic is 2.69. Positive value is 2.69. And any test statistics greater than the critical ratio, we reject null hypothesis. The positive value of the test status is 2.69, which is greater than the critical ratio, so we reject null hypothesis. And based on the p-value approach, it should be less than 0.05, also it should be less than 0.01. So we can say that at 1% level of significance, the H naught should be rejected. And the interpretation of the question is, rejection of H naught implies that the data shows enough evidence to conclude that the mean daily yield differs from 9,000 tons. Another example, the average nicotine content of a particular brand of cigarette is supposed to be 1.5 mg per cigarette. A smoker of this brand wants to see if it is really 1.5 mg or more. With this purpose of the nicotine content of 40 cigarettes are measured. The sample mean based on 40 cigarettes is 1.62 mg per cigarette. The population standard deviation is 0.5 mg. Do the data provide enough evidence that the average nicotine contents exceeds 1.5 mg? Test at 5% level using p-value approach. So here you can see some information like the sample size, that is n equal to 40, mu naught equal to 1.5 mg and the standard deviation sigma equal to 0.5 mg. So we want to test H naught that mu is equivalent to 1.5, isn't it? So our question is, do the data provide enough evidence that the average nicotine content exceeds 1.5 mg? So our null hypothesis H naught that mu equal to 1.5 against the alternative hypothesis H1 that mu greater than 1.5, that is the nicotine contents exceeds 1.5 mg. Therefore the alternative hypothesis become one-sided, that is H naught such that mu greater than 1.5 at 5% level. The test statistics Z naught equal to x bar minus mu naught divided by sigma by root n. Substitute the values of this in equation and we will get the Z naught equal to 1.52. So here the p-value will get 0.073. So what is the conclusion? Here you can see the p-value is 0.0673, which is greater than the alpha value, that is 0.05, which is greater than the 0.05. So we accept H naught at 5% level. So the interpretation of the result is, it indicates that the data do not provide sufficient evidence to conclude that the average nicotine contents exceeds 1.5 mg per cigarettes. Next is case 2. When the sample size is less than 30, we apply t-test. The test statistic is t equal to x bar minus mu naught divided by s by root n. That follows a student's t distribution with n minus 1 degrees of freedom, and the degrees of freedom is the number of independent constraints. That is, the degrees of freedom are the number of independent values that a statistical analysis can estimate. For example, I have 3 values like 10, 20 and 30. So what is the mean of these 3 values? 10, 20, 30. 20 is the mean value. Suppose I exclude one value from this section. So we can estimate, if we know the value of the missing one, we can estimate the test statistic. So that one value, that is the degrees of freedom is here, the degrees of freedom is 1. That is, this third value is depending on the third value we can estimate the parameters or test statistics. So this is considered as the degrees of freedom, that is the number of independent values that a statistical analysis can estimate. For example, given the data regarding heights of 24 2-year-old boys with homozygous sickle cell disease. Here the sample size n equal to 24 and the sample mean x bar equal to 84.1 and the sample standard deviation is 3.11. The standard reference for height for 2-year-old males is 86.5 centimeter. This is the recommended value. And do the data suggest that 2-year-old male sickle cell disease children differ in height from the standard reference value, isn't it? So here we want to check whether the sickle cell diseased children's height is equivalent to the standard reference height. So the null hypothesis H naught that whether it is equal or not equal. H naught that mu equal to 86.5 versus alternative hypothesis H1 such that mu not equal to 86.5. Here the test statistics t naught equal to x bar minus mu naught divided by s by root n, that is equal to 84.1 minus 86.5 divided by 3.11 into square root of the sample size. Here the t naught will get minus 3.81 for degrees of freedom 23 and alpha equal to 0.05. Here the p-value will get 0.0009. So what is the conclusion? If the p-value is less than 0.05, we reject H0. That is the interpretation of the study is the mean height of 2-year-old male children is significantly different from the standard height. Next section is test for means of two independent population. In the previous section we have seen one sample population. Here we are going to test for means, comparing the means of two independent population. So three cases there. Case 1 for large sample, that is set test we are applying. For case 2, when the sample size is small, that is less than 30, we apply students t-test or independent sample t-test. And last one is the case 3, when the small sample size and n less than 30, when in n less than 30, then modified t-test will apply. So one condition is there, assumption, that is in case 1 and case 2 homogeneity of variance in the two population is accepted, and in case 1, that is sigma 1 and sigma 2 are given. For the case 2, sigma 1 and sigma 2 are not given. For case 1 and case 2, the main assumption is homogeneity of variance in the two population is accepted. That is the variance in the two population are equal. That is the one assumption for this test. When the homogeneity of variance is violated, we are going to the modified t-test. That is the third case. Homogeneity of variance in the two population is not accepted, then that situation we apply the modified t-test for the sample size less than 30. Then how we can check the homogeneity of variance? By the test statistics Fisher's F-test we can apply it for finding the homogeneity of variance in the populations. So one of the assumptions which has to be satisfied for applying students t-test is homogeneity of variance in the two populations. So this is tested by computing the Fisher's F statistics, that is F equal to sigma 1 squared by sigma 2 squared for n1 minus 1, n2 minus 1 degrees of freedom, where n sigma 1 squared and sigma 2 squared are the variance of the population 1 and variance of population 2 respectively. So if the computed F value is less than the critical ratio, that is the test statistics less than the critical ratio of F at n minus 1 and n minus 2 degrees of freedom, or the p-value greater than 0.05, then the assumption of homogeneity of variance in the two populations can be accepted. So previously you can we will see that is any test statistics greater than the critical ratio, we reject H0. Here the test statistics F value is less than the critical ratio, we do not reject H0. So here the null and alternative hypothesis corresponding for the F test is Fisher's F test is, we are assuming H0 that the variance of the two population are equal, that is sigma 1 equal to sigma 2. And against the alternative hypothesis, sigma 1 not equal to sigma 2. So here the F value, that is test statistic greater than the critical ratio, we do not reject H0. That is, we are assuming there is a homogeneity of variance in the two population. Otherwise, the variance in the two population will be heterogeneous. Case 1. Test for comparing the means of two independent population by set test. So one of the main assumption is homogeneity of variance in the population is two population is accepted, that is sigma 1 approximately equal to sigma 2, sigma 1 and sigma 2 are given. The null hypothesis H0 that we are comparing the mean, so that is null hypothesis H0 that mu1 equal to mu2. Alternative hypothesis H1 that mu1 greater than mu2 or mu1 less than mu2 or mu1 not equal to mu2 at pre-assigned level of significance alpha. And here the test statistics z not equal to x1 bar minus x2 bar divided by square root of sigma 1 squared by n1 plus sigma 2 squared by n2. For example, a survey was conducted to see if the smokers have high pulse rate than the non-smokers. The two random samples of each size 100 from smokers and non-smokers are selected, and it is observed that the sample mean are 90 and 88 per minutes for the smokers and non-smokers respectively. So the standard deviation are 5 and 6 respectively. So test at alpha equal to 0.05 that the smokers have higher pulse rate. So here the answer, let mu1 and mu2 be the population mean of pulse rate of smokers and non-smokers respectively. So we want to compare here we want to compare the mean pulse rate between smokers and non-smokers. So here we want to test H0 that mu1 equal to mu2 against the null hypothesis H1 that mu1 greater than mu2 at alpha level of significant 0.05. Here why we take the alternative hypothesis H1 that mu1 greater than mu2. So in the given question they are conducting the survey was conducted to see if the smokers have a high pulse rate than non-smokers. So it's clearly defined there. That's why we are given the alternative hypothesis H1 that mu1 greater than mu2. That is mu1 representing the high pulse rate of mean pulse rate of the smokers group and mu2 representing the mean pulse rate of the non-smokers group. Okay, so given sample size are given here. For each group 100 is there, and standard deviation of the pulse rate for population 1 is 25 and population 2 is 36. So the sample mean x1 bar 90 and sample mean of x2 bar 88. That is sample mean of x1 bar means the pulse rate of the smokers. The average pulse rate of smokers are 90 and average pulse rate of non-smokers are 88. So substituting these values in the set test statistic. So Z0 will get x1 bar minus x2 bar divided by square root of sigma 1 squared by n1 plus sigma 2 squared by n2. So we will get the set statistics Z0 equal to 2.56. So since the p-value here 0.005 which is less than 0.05, so we reject H0 at the 5% level of significance in favor of H1. So what is the conclusion? The conclusion is that there is enough evidence that the pulse rates are higher for smokers than non-smokers. Next is the case 2. Test for means of two independent population, that is when the sample size is small. That is when sample size less than 30. We applied student t-test when the homogeneity of variance in the two populations are accepted. So sigma 1 and sigma 2 are not given. So we estimate the standard deviation s squared equal to n1 minus 1 into s1 squared plus n2 minus 1 s2 squared divided by n1 plus n2 minus 2, and here the s1 squared is the sample standard deviation of population 1, s2 squared is the sample standard deviation of population 2. We are estimating the pooled standard deviation, that is the s squared, and substitute this value in test statistics. Here the test statistics for corresponding for the students t-test is t equal to x1 bar minus s2 bar divided by s into square root of 1 by n1 plus 1 by n2. This follows a student's t distribution with n1 plus n2 minus 2 degrees of freedom. For example, 12 rats were given a high protein diet and another set of 7 rats given a low protein diet. The gain in weight in grams observed in the two sets are given below. So here we have two population, one population receiving the high protein diet and another one receiving the low protein diet. So sample 1 including 12 number of observation and sample 2 including 7 number of observation. So here we want to examine whether the high protein diet is superior to the low protein diet at 5% level of significance. Here the direction is given there. That is, here the examine where the high protein diet is superior to the low protein diet at 5% level of significance. So in that situation, what is H naught? The null hypothesis is the mean level of weight gain is in the two population is equal, that is mu1 equal to mu2, and against the alternative hypothesis H1 such that mu1 greater than mu2. Okay, from the given sample the observations are given here, that is sample size of the population sample 1 n1 equal to 12, sample mean x1 bar equal to 11.5 and standard deviation for the first group s1 squared equal to 4.41. Similar like you can see the sample size, mean and standard deviation for the group 2 or low protein diet group. So here the test statistic t equal to x1 bar minus x2 bar divided by square root of n1 minus 1 s1 squared plus n2 minus 1 s2 squared divided by n1 plus n2 minus 2 into 1 by n1 plus 1 by n2. Substitute these values in this equation, we will get the test statistic as 1.884. So from the t table we can find the critical ratio, or here the p value will get 0.038 which is less than 0.05, so we reject H naught. Here the p value is less than 0.05, we reject H naught. So reject H naught means the we accept H1, that is the high protein diet is superior to low protein diet. Next is case 3. That is test for means of two independent population when the sample size is less than 30 and the homogeneity of variance in the two population are not equal. So we are applying the modified t-test. So the equation for the modified t-test is t dash equal to tn minus 1 s1 squared by n1 plus tn2 minus 1 s2 squared by n2 divided by s1 squared by n1 plus s2 squared by n2, where tn1 minus 1 and tn2 minus 1 are the student's t value to be referred from the student's table. If t greater than t dash or p less than 0.05, we reject null hypothesis, that is significant. So everyone, you don't bothered about this type of large equation, you just understood the concept of the each test. For example, here we have two groups is there, group A and group B, and corresponding number of samples are given here. For group A 15 and group B 10. And here we are estimating the mean age of the population, that is corresponding for group A the mean age is 17.4 and standard deviation is 1.8, and corresponding for the group B the mean age of the patient is 13.2 with a standard deviation of 4.2. Isn't it? So indirectly we can see the standard deviation showing a difference, that is standard deviation for group population group A is 1.8 and standard deviation for group B is 4.2. So anyway it's showing a difference, but we want to prove this difference based on the statistical test. So we are applying the F test for checking the variability of the two population. So we are finding the ratio of the variance and we'll get 5.4 0.44, that is the F test statistic, and which is greater than the critical ratio. Here the critical ratio of that we calculated from the F table is 2.65. So that is the assumption of homogeneous variance in the two population cannot be accepted, that is sigma 1 not equal to sigma 2, and hence modified t-test has to be applied. So if the that is we are instead of the student's t-test we are applying the modified test when the homogeneity of an assumption is not assumed, and we calculated the test statistic modified t-test, and here we'll get the p-value is 0.003, which is less than 0.05. So we can say that that is we reject the null hypothesis. Here the null hypothesis is that the mean age of the two population is equal, that is mu A equal to mu B. And we reject the null hypothesis, accept the alternative hypothesis, that is the mean age of the group A is significantly greater than group B. Next topic is the test for means of paired sample. So we are applying the test paired t-test. So what do you mean by paired observation? For example, the SBP value of patients before and after giving a drug. So this type of data is considered as a paired observations. So let's start with the details of this section. Test for means of the paired samples, paired t-test. For example, let x1, y1, x2, y2, etc. xn, yn be the paired observations. For testing the equality of means, use the test statistic t equal to d bar divided by sd by root 10. So the assumption is the DI values should follow a normal distribution. What is DI? The difference in the two observations that follow a normal distribution. That is the one of the main assumption for paired t-test. And this test statistics follow a student's t-distribution with n-1 degrees of freedom, where di equal to the difference between the two observations xi minus ya, and d bar is the sample mean of the differences di's, and sd be the standard deviation of the differences in the sample. So what is a null and alternative hypothesis? So the null hypothesis h0 that mu d equal to 0, that is before and after value should be equal, then that situation the difference should be 0. So we are assuming h0 that mu d equal to 0 against the alternative hypothesis h1 that either mu d less than 0 or greater than 0 or mu d not equal to 0. For example, a dietitian wants to see if a new diet based on oat bran can reduce person's cholesterol level. 6 individuals were pre-tested and then kept on the new diet for 10-week period. So the data on cholesterol level before and after use of the new diet are given below. So can it conclude from the data that the cholesterol level has been reduced at alpha level of significance? So here what is the research question? The new diet that is based on oat bran can reduce the patient cholesterol level. That is, the new diet is an effective for reducing the cholesterol level. So here the data are given here, that is 6 individuals are given here corresponding before and after value. So here we are measure the cholesterol level before receiving the new diet and after receiving the new diet are given here. Let di equal to xi minus yi. We are taking the difference of the paired observation, where I varies from 1 to 6. We have a 6 number of observations, and mu d be the mean change in cholesterol level due to new diet of the population. That is the mean of the difference. Mu d is the mean of the difference. Here the null hypothesis h0 that mu d equal to 0 against the alternative hypothesis mu d greater than 0. Why we take the mu d greater than 0? Here we are taking the difference is xi minus, that is before minus after value, isn't it? Before minus after value. So we are focusing on after giving the new diet plan, the cholesterol will reduce. So cholesterol will reduce. So the difference should be greater than 0. So that's why we are taking the alternative hypothesis H1, that mu d greater than 0. So the corresponding test statistics T equal to D bar divided by ST by square root of n. The given table showing the before diet cholesterol value before diet and cholesterol value after diet are given here, and we are taking the difference between before and after value, that is di equal to x minus y, and take the square of the difference di squared, and we take the sum of the di squared. So here the here we want to find the d bar equal to summation di divided by n, will get 16.7. So what is the test statistics? Test statistics for PAT test is T equal to D bar divided by ST by root n. That's why we are finding the D bar, where D bar equal to summation Di divided by N, that is 100 divided by 6, will get 16.7, and the standard deviation of the difference SD square equal to 1 by n minus 1 summation di squared minus n d bar squared, that will get 644 divided. This is SD squared is the variance, no standard deviation. SD squared is the variance. So here this variance will get 644 divided 644.61. So and the standard deviation will get square root of 644.67 equal to 25.39, and the test statistics T naught equal to T naught will get 1.613. Here the p value is 0.084, which is greater than 0.05. So we do not reject H naught, that is H naught is accepted. What is the conclusion? So here there is no evidence to support the dietitian's belief that the new diet based on odd brand reduces a person's cholesterol level. That is, the new diet plan is not an effective for reducing the cholesterol level. Next we come to the point of ANOVA, that is analysis of variance. ANOVA is a method for testing the hypothesis that there is no difference between 3 or more than 3 population means. That is, we are comparing the mean average mean. We are comparing the mean value of the parameters between the 3 or more than 3 groups. For example, here we compare the HB levels, that is the H naught, such that mean HB level are not different in 3 groups, and the alternative hypothesis H1, that the mean HB level of at least one group is different. So this is an extension of the independent sample t-test. There are 2 types of ANOVA is there, one-way ANOVA and two-way ANOVA.
What do you mean by one-way ANOVA? Observations are classified in groups on the basis of a single criteria. For example, we want to study the yield of a crop. This study can be made with respect to the effect of a single variable, that is the fertilizer. Here we apply different kinds of fertilizer in different paddy field. So the yield of a crop is depends on the fertilizer effect. What is two-way ANOVA? In this technique, observations are classified into groups on the basis of 2 criteria. For example, we want to study the yield of a crop. The observations to the effect of 2 variables, that is fertilizer and seed. Here you can see one example comparing HB of hemoglobin level of socioeconomic status groups. So here two variables are given here, HB level that were measured in continuous and socioeconomic status that we are classified into three categories, that is low level, middle level and upper category, and corresponding HB levels are given here. Here we have three group is there, group 1 representing low SES and group 2 representing the middle socioeconomic class, group 3 representing the upper socioeconomic class. Why the name analysis of variance? Here, the ANOVA is conducted by comparing variability between means to variability within groups. So here you can see the data. The data we are arranged based on the socioeconomic groups. And corresponding HB levels are given here. So suppose in socioeconomic class low level, there is observation is there, HB levels 13, 12, 10, 15 and 5. So the variation of HB levels within the groups is considered as the within group variation. And also you can see the mean between three different groups, the mean HB level of low, middle and upper. So the variation of this mean is considered as the between group variation. That is, the total variation is the combination of variation due to controllable factors, that is between group variation, and variation due to the uncontrollable factors, that is within group variation, that is considered as an error. So the ratio of these two variance is considered as the F statistic. So here F statistic, F equal to variance between the sample means divided by variance expected by chance, or variance within group. The important assumptions of ANOVA are: the population from which the samples drawn are normally distributed. Second one, the samples drawn from different populations are random and independent. And third, we consider the homogeneity of variance, that is, the variance of data in groups should be the same. The null hypothesis is that H naught that mu1 equal to mu2 equal to mu3 equal to etc. mu1. Suppose we are considering n groups of observations. And the alternative hypothesis H1 that not all population means are equal, that is, at least one of the population means differ. And this is the typical form of an ANOVA table. Here you can see the sources of variation, that is between group variation and within group variation, and corresponding degrees of freedom for between group variation k minus 1 and within group variation n minus k. The total degrees of freedom n minus 1, where k is the number of groups and n is the total number of observation. And we are calculating the sum of squares, SSB for between groups and SSE for within group. And next we calculate the mean sum of squares, that is SSB divided by the degrees of, that is sum of squares of between groups divided by the degrees of freedom. And similar like we get the mean sum of squares for error, and ratio of these two will consider as the F statistic. And then we calculated the critical ratio from the F table. Also we will get the p-value. Based on the p-value, we decide whether to accept or reject the null hypothesis. For example, 3 groups of students, 5 in each group, we receiving therapy for severe test anxiety. Group 1 received 5 hours of therapy, Group 2 10 hours and Group 3 15 hours of therapy. At the end of therapy, each subject completed an evaluation of test anxiety, the dependent variable in the study.
And did the amount of therapy have an effect on the level of test anxiety? So that's our research question. Did the amount of therapy have an effect on the level of test anxiety? The three groups of students received the following scores on the test anxiety index. At the end of treatment, we will get the score, that is TA score for three groups of the students are given here. Group 1 receiving the 5 hours of therapy, and group 2 receiving the 10 hours of therapy, group 3 receiving the 15 hours of therapy, and corresponding TA score are mentioned here. What is the null and alternative hypothesis here? Here the null hypothesis H naught that mu1 equal to mu2 equal to mu3. That is, all the population means are equal. And alternative hypothesis H1 such that not H0. That is, not all population means are equal. Here you can see the ANOVA table, and at the end of the ANOVA table we will get the F ratio, and also will get the p-value. Here the p-value is 0.024. What do you mean by 0.024? So which the p-value that is less than 0.05, so we reject the null hypothesis. And that is, there is a difference in the population means. When the null hypothesis is rejected, it may be desirable to find which means are different. That is, we are unknown about which pair of groups showing a significant difference. For that, we are done multiple comparison tests. The most commonly used multiple comparison tests are Bonferroni test and SNK test. Here I given the SPSS output of the multiple comparison test. Here you can see the SIG column. One SIG column, that is significance level column, is considered as the p-value for each pair of observation. So in the first case you can see group 1 versus group 2. We are comparing the means between group 1 versus group 2. Corresponding p-value will get 0.031. So what do you mean? What is the interpretation? So there is a significant difference in between group 1 and group 2. Similarly, like you can find all the pairs. Here in this example we have three group is there. So the possible pairs are group 1 versus group 2, group 1 versus group 3, and group 2 versus group 3. So corresponding each pair of observation you will get the p-value. Here group 1 versus group 2, the p-value is 0.031. Group 1 versus group 3, p-value is 1. Group 2 versus group 3, p-value is 0.095. So out of this figure you can see group 1 and group 2 showing a significant difference, and other possible pairs does not showing any significant difference. Next, how to report the data. So this is the way to report the data. That is, groups are in the columns, group 1, group 2, group 3, corresponding number of observation, each group receiving 5 number of observation in this sample, and corresponding mean of TAI score are given, and standard deviation of the TAI score for each groups are given here, and we will get the p-value from the ANOVA table that we can write here 0.024. So which means there is a significant difference in the population mean between the two groups. And also we can put the multiple comparison test results, that is the p-value corresponding for each pair of observations, isn't it? The conclusion is there is a significant difference among the mean scores of three groups of students received on the test anxiety index. Multiple comparison test research showing a significant difference in the mean scores of TI between group 1 and group 2, and does not showing any significant difference in between group 1 and group 2, group 3, and group 2 and group 3. Next, come to the second technique, that is two-way ANOVA. So two-way ANOVA used to assess the effect of two factors
on two factors on a variable. For example, the effect of the cholesterol level may depend on the type of treatment and gender. So this is the table of two-way ANOVA, and here you can see the sources of variation, treatment, block and error, and corresponding sum of squares, degrees of freedom, mean sum of squares, F statistic and p-value. So based on the p-value we are deciding whether to reject or accept the null hypothesis. Example for the two-way ANOVA is, suppose that a physician wants to examine the cholesterol level under 3 diet plans: very low calorie diet VLCD, low calorie diet LCD and normal diet ND. Both male and female subjects are selected. For each diet plan, suppose that gender will also have an effect on cholesterol level. The data are given in the table, and here we have two factors is there, that is diet plan and gender. So diet plan is divided into 3 categories: VLCD, LCD and ND, and gender is the classification like male and females, and corresponding data of cholesterol level are given here. And here you can see the output of the SPSS of the given example. Here you can see the mean level of cholesterol level in between different level of treatment programs, that is VLCD, LCD and ND. Corresponding mean levels of the cholesterol level are given in the first descriptive tables. And then we can see the one-way ANOVA. Within that we can see the last p-value. SIG is known as the significance value, and here we'll get the p-value is 0.000, which is less than 0.001. So that means there is a significant difference in the means in the cholesterol level between the 3 groups. And next we can see the analysis of variance of two-way ANOVA. Here we can see the sources are diet, treatment, gender, and the interaction of diet and the gender, and we consider the error also. Okay, so here corresponding SIG, that is the p-value we'll get. In this p-value you can see the diet, corresponding for diet the p-value is significant, corresponding for the gender also the p-value is significant. And here we have 3 research questions there. The first one is whether the diet plan is effective for reducing the cholesterol level. Corresponding null and alternative hypothesis we will generate, that is H0 that the diet plan will have no significant effect on cholesterol level, and the alternative hypothesis the diet plan does have a significant effect on the cholesterol level. So here the p-value will get p less than 0.05 for corresponding for diet. So we reject the null hypothesis. That means there is an effect of the diet plan is an effective for reducing the cholesterol level. The second research question is there any role of gender to reduce the cholesterol level? For that we are generating one more null and alternative hypothesis, that is H0 such that gender will have no significant effect on cholesterol level, and the alternative hypothesis gender has a significant effect on cholesterol level. Here in the ANOVA table we will get the p-value corresponding for gender is 0.005, so which is less than 0.05, so we reject H0. That means there is a gender has a significant effect on cholesterol level. The third research question is whether the diet plan and gender interaction have any role in reducing the cholesterol level. For that we are generating the null and alternative hypothesis, that is null hypothesis diet plan and gender interaction will have no significant effect on cholesterol level, and the alternative hypothesis diet plan and gender interaction has a significant effect on cholesterol level.
Okay, so here the p-value we'll get for diet and gender is 0.964. So which is a greater than the critical level, that is 0.05. So we do not reject H0. That means there is no that is diet plan and gender interaction will have no significant effect on cholesterol level. Here you can see the comparison in between one-way and two-way ANOVA. So by the way of definition, one-way ANOVA, a test that allows one to make comparison between the means of 3 or more groups of data. At the time, the two-way ANOVA is a test that allows one to make comparison between the means of 3 or more groups of data where 2 independent variables are considered. And the number of independent variables in one way are only one factors we consider, that is the independent variable, and in two way we consider the 2 factors. So the number of independent variables in the two way is 2. So what is being compared in one way ANOVA? The mean of 3 or more groups of an independent variable on the dependent variables. And by the way of two-way ANOVA, the effect of multiple groups of 2 independent variables on a dependent variable and on each other. Number of groups of samples in one-way ANOVA, 3 or more groups are given here, and in two-way ANOVA each variable should have a multiple samples. Next we come to the point of the repeated measure design. It's also known as repeated measure ANOVA. The repeated measure design is one in which the measurements of the same variable are made on each subject on 3 or more different occasions. For example, the health scores at 4 different points in time are given here. That is the baseline. Here we take the 80 number of object and the baseline value of health score, 1 month health score, 3 month health score and 6 month health score are given here. So here the health score of the 4 points are given here. So each subject have 4 different values. So that measured in 4 different time periods. The null and alternative hypothesis is that null hypothesis H0 such that mu1 equal to mu2 equal to mu3 equal to mu4 versus H1 that not all population means are equal. So here you can see the ANOVA table. At the end of the ANOVA table we will get the p-value. Here the p-value is 0.001 which is less than 0.05. So we reject H0, that is there is a difference in 4 population means. So here we see the repeated measure of ANOVA. This analysis is an extension of the paired sample t-test. Now the parametric test procedures are over here. Next I will come with the different types of non-parametric tests, that is in the part 2. Thank you.